Never waste a good crisis. In Season 3 of Game of Thrones, to some characteristically gruesome background imagery, one of the characters, a politicking climber with the nickname Littlefinger, makes an interesting point. He's talking about the safety of the realm and how easily things can fall into chaos, when a member of the council describes chaos as a bottomless pit. Chaos isn't a pit, Littlefinger counters. Chaos is a ladder. An opportunist to the core, Littlefinger understands that chaos can be used strategically. More specifically, chaos can be used to simplify. Consider the response of various nations to terrorism and violent uprisings. Ever heard the term martial law? It refers to the suspension of a plethora of rules and systems in favor of much simpler justice. During times of crisis, authorities can repeal their own restrictive laws in order to operate with greater freedom, because it is expedient to do so. And this repealing of laws during times of chaos need not only be reserved for aggressive purposes. At a conference I attended at a bushveld resort, guest speaker Imtiaz Suleiman, founder of Gift of the Givers, told the story of how his organization responded to the Haiti earthquake disaster in 2010. Minutes after the news broke, his team was already preparing to leave South Africa and travel to Haiti with food and medical equipment. They had to fly via France, and when they called the French embassy to explain the situation, the French issued a Schengen visa for everyone on the team within 10 minutes and with no accompanying photos. That is a remarkable dissolution of rules under pressure. It relied on trust, built by the reputation of Suleiman's organization, and on willingness on the part of the French authorities. Perhaps most importantly, and although I can't verify it, it must also have relied on some sort of contingency plan that existed ahead of the scenario. Someone at the French embassy had to have looked at this special scenario and seen the need to bypass their own rules. Whether this was a preloaded exemption built into their system, or whether it was on the initiative of a single individual, one can only applaud them. A good crisis can shake things up. Some leaders may even cynically sustain a sense of crisis in order to keep an organization focused on special needs. Recognizing and using a crisis can be incredibly effective. It does run one considerable risk, though. Don't let Senator Palpatine become Emperor. Referencing both Game of Thrones and Star Wars in a single chapter runs the risk of revealing severe nerdiness on my part. The illustrations work though, so be it. In the iconic Star Wars prequel trilogy, Senator Palpatine manufactures a crisis in order to gain temporary power in the Senate. Once in power, he dissolves the Senate and becomes absolute ruler. So while this technique works well, keep this guiding principle in mind. Power is the path to the dark side. What if? What if you used the next crisis to take a hatchet to dead wood in your company and sustain the sense of change?